Hey, welcome. You made it to another module. I'm glad to see you again. I got another story for you, and this one comes from Kohl's. Meet Brian Dennis. He's their former VP of Customer Service, and we met years ago at a conference and talked a lot about innovation tactics and how you get buy-in for your ideas. He talked to me about a scenario where he wanted to make a $20 million investment to bring in new technology that would essentially speed up their fulfillment of online orders. It would allow their system to route online orders from local stores closer to you, the buyer, rather than central fulfillment centers out in the middle of nowhere. Today, this seems like common practice, but back then, this was cutting edge, and he knew that there were a lot of business priorities in the way. So he set out with a different approach. He knew that if he just brought his idea forward, he'd get shut down immediately. So he looked across the organization for different sponsors, people that he could go to get on board with his idea before he pitched it formally. So he went to the CIO, the Chief Information Officer, and he said, listen, if we bring in this technology, it'll make two of our other systems redundant. It'll help consolidate our information. Overall, we'll be a lot more streamlined and effective because of this. The CIO became intrigued, said, let me hear some more. Next, he went to the CFO. Now, anyone working at a big organization, what does the CFO usually care about? The money, right? So he went to the CFO and said, I will show you the productivity and efficiency gains that will be made if we bring in this new system. He showed that to them. They became intrigued, got on board with the idea. Then he went to the CMO, and this was the simplest conversation of them all. He said, wouldn't you love to market faster online delivery times to our 100 million online customers? She said, absolutely. And he said something very interesting at that point. When it came time for approval, I just sat back and watched. And this is key. He just sat back and watched. He did not even present it himself. He gave up ownership of the idea to those sponsors. And that's why we call this the sponsored sell-in. This is your second pathway to adoption. You have your great idea. How do you get to buy-in? The first thing you do is secure those sponsors. Who are those people in the organization that have influence, that have clout, that can make the dial move? The next thing you need to do might be the hardest. You need to concede credit. Give up ownership of that idea. Stop thinking of yourself as the superstar in front of the meeting, in front of the camera, championing this idea. If you're in it for the sake of the innovation, then concede credit. And lastly, you need to leverage support. You're essentially trading your idea for their support. So leverage the support of those sponsors and let them take that forward to ultimately get the buy-in that you're looking for. There's a great quote that says, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. So the takeaways here are, I want you to think about appealing to your sponsor's priorities. This is Sales 101, but don't talk about how this will help you. Talk about how this will help your sponsor's priorities, whether it's the CMO, the CIO, or the CFO. And lastly, here's the gut check question. Do you care more about the idea or the credit?